saya rasa kita akan gagal untuk menekan kerjaan. Saya sebenarnya tak dapat nak duit sangat sebab terlalu penat dengan saya driving jam setengah. Tapi daripada pukul 6 petang tadi sampai ke sini pukul 9.30 yang hujan agak lewat sikit. Saya jangkakan saya sampai pukul 8.30, 1 jam lewat sebab hujan. Saya telah mengarang hanya bagaikan 2 titik ekstrim saya cakap. Adakah kita setuju ke mana? Saya cakap, adakah wartawan sekarang ni bersedia untuk melaksanakan? Sebab dalam tempoh 2 hari ni saya lihat filem Chennai Express dengan 47 Ronin. Saya cakap, saya cuba untuk menyemarakkan rasa marah. Bukan geram dia, saya cakap geram dia. Ini marah, betul-betul marah. Dan deep inside, ada yang di dalam hati ni untuk melihat kita tidak ekstrim. Maksud saya bukan ekstrim dari segi kita bakar KTN ke apa ke, bukan. Boleh, saya boleh buat. Sebab saya tak ada masalah. Kalau kita tangkap saya seorang saja. Tak apalah. Itu akan saya timbang kalau saya nak makan. Sebab saya pasti. Sebab saya telah menjemput semua orang. Sebab kita bersama apa berdemonstrasi 2%. Bila saya seorang juga. Dan saya ni kena pakai dengan Miho ni. Apa? Sebab kita tahu banyak usaha yang perlu dilakukan untuk menyemarakkan rasa marah di kalangan wartawan-wartawan ni. Saya tahu banyak usaha lagi kita nak tu. Mungkin tindakan saya seorang ni mungkin orang lihat tak ada apa memberi kesan. Tapi insya-Allah saya rasa kalau tahun ini seorang, saya seorang. Mungkin tahun depan ada 2 orang. Dah cukup bagi je lah. Dah ada 100%. So, saya cuma ingin mendapatkan kedatangan saya ini hanya untuk mendapatkan validasi daripada pemilik-pemilik wartawan media portal. Kita ada kuasa. Sekarang kita adalah portal yang kata orang tu apa, kita anggaplah sebagai media yang paling berkuasa, yang dapat memberikan input maklumat kepada semua rakyat Malaysia. Saya cuba bayangkanlah, dari setiap satu office tu berapa ramai yang buka urusan online. Tak ada punya saya rasa. Dia akan buka Malaysia Kini, Malaysia Insider. Betul kan? Jangan nak buka. Saya punya moral tu pun saya haramkan dalam komputer. Jadi benda ni, apa yang saya nak katakan dia satu yang ekstrim. Tapi saya buat dengan nada yang normal sebab saya terlalu penat lah. Pertama saya minta kita memandukan etika kewangan kita. Tak apalah untuk sementara tahun ke 2 tahun ke konsesi kita. Kita jangan bagi hak untuk memberi penjelasan kepada kerajaan. Apa yang kita perlu tulis adalah sesuatu yang negatif. Kalau poster muaya posting, kita jangan ikut kata poster muaya. Kita go pada negatif issue. Saya pernah melihat masa saya bekerja mengutusan, kita semasa pembukaan KLIA selama seminggu kita menyiapkan perkara-perkara negatif mereka lain. Sekejap package rosak, sekejap itu rosak. Hole yang satu lubang tu pun kita pamerkan juga. Selama seminggu Dr. Mahathir dalam satu minggu juga boleh tahan lagi. Tak, saya tak ada cuma buka dia kan, tahan. Tapi dalam masa seminggu sampailah mereka tak dapat tahan sampai kena mengarahkan urusan sampai Dewan Jakau waktu kendang. Dan isu-isu yang diambil itu. Dan saya rasa kalau kita boleh laksanakan, saya rasa kita akan berjaya untuk menekan kerjaan. Ada orang yang dalam marah, tapi walaupun dalam kenal. Tak. Ini sesuatu yang kita perlu laksanakan. Tapi itulah. Sebab kita, saya bukan lagi wartawan yang menulis. Not aktif journalist. Just wakil RSS yang melakukan pitch terhadap wartawan-wartawan itu saja. Dia dapat saya lakukan. Keduanya, saya meminta kita mengambil tindakan yang ekstrim. Kalau kita perlu membuat satu tindakan di mana kita dapat melonggokkan akhbar dihit dekat KPN. Saya ingat kalau kita nak buat sesuatu, takkanlah kita nak buat kan jauh. Oh tu KPN, kita nak duduk kat sini lah. No. Jadi anak jantan lah. Cenai kan. Cenai. Jantan. Sehingga something pun tak. You are my man. Dia kasih berkahwin dengan anak dia. Kalau kita kalau itu movie memanglah kata orang sesuatu yang boleh dicipta semua. Okay. Tapi itu dia kak. Kalau betul-betul kita betul-betul marah dengan itu, jadikan dihit suatu kabar dihit itu suatu lambang untuk kita longgokkan depan KPN. Saya kalau tuan-tuan tak nak ikut tak apa, saya tengah mengumpul apa dihit sekarang ni. Tak betul ada dekat dalam pick-up saya sekarang ni. Ada 2-3 tak tahulah saya dapat buat apa-apa. Sebab tak banyak lah dihit sekarang ni, tak tahu. Saya dah kumpul banyak-banyak. Itu satu, kedua. Keduanya, adakah tuan-tuan pernah dengar satu iklan daripada Rusia? Bagaimana mereka mengambil tindakan terhadap Datuk Bandar atas apa tu jalan raya yang banyak lubang, pothole. Bagaimana mereka mengambil tindakan dengan membuat satu graffiti. Saya rasa orang tak boleh buat kot. Graffiti di dekat pothole tu dengan muka-muka Datuk Bandar. So dari misalnya kita letak depan, kita lukis sini muka Zaid Ahmadi. Ini adalah yang memandulkan media kebesaran media. Apa? Kalau dia boleh lukis tak, saya boleh cat. Kalau tuan-tuan tak apa. Saya seorang dulu. Mungkin next year ada lagi seorang. So dah 100%. Right? So itu juga. Nampak idea tu tak ekstrim sangat. Tapi saya rasa kalau kita buat, saya rasa daya beli pun terkencing. So saya meminta konsesi daripada tuan-tuan. So let's kita buat sesuatu yang lebih praktikal daripada kita berforum. Kita sekarang forum ni okey, tak ada masalah. Okey. Tapi kita perlu buat satu yang praktikal, yang kata orang tu boleh nampak. Kalau kita tak buat sesuatu yang tak boleh nampak, so dan kita ajar cakap, alah lantak lah, dihit apa sangat. So tapi masalah ini bukan masalah dihit, ini masalah kita wartawan kat Malaysia ni. Adakah kita nak membiarkan ini berlaku sepanjang masa? Adakah kita nak ditindas sepanjang masa? Adakah kita ingin menulis, membuat liputan dengan rasa ketakutan? Ada idea itu. Sebab bila saya melawan bos saya tidak melihat dia sebagai bos saya. Saya rasa you adalah manusia yang cuba menghancurkan budaya wartawan. Saya tidak respect orang ini. Saya tak pernah risau apa yang akan berlaku pada diri saya. Sebab saya rasa sebab apa-apa yang berlaku akan kena ombak. Kalau saya boleh survive, okey lah. Setakat gaji lah, TV bayar pun tak ada hal lah. Sebab sekarang income saya pun lebih daripada itu.
Okey, dah sampai speed kan? Saya bukan, ni bukan masalah lain. Cakap, janganlah takut pasal pendapatan ke apa cakap. Rezeki insyaAllah dia ada di mana. Betul? Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum. I think on his Chennai Express, and he's really on the heat now. Okay, we're gonna open to the floor. You got to shout. So sorry. Okay, it's just like a press conference. Shout it out. Yeah, and we'll take about 3 questions first. State your name, where you're from if you want to, and straight to the question. Okay? I think we need to give a lot of more people to ask questions. Okay, we'll take from Ki Tuan Chai. Ki, I think you can shout it out.
Tuan Chai, bullshit myself. I'd like to thank the speakers for standing up, for speaking up on media freedom. It seems to me now what we need is an action plan to follow up from there. And it seems to me that the crux of the action that we need to take is the repeal of the PPPA, Printing Presses and Publications Act. And now is the time to do it because we have just cause. We had something to rally around, the suspension of the heat. Why? Because the heat has broken no laws. Why is it being suspended? It has not broken any laws. Since when has reporting the truth become a matter of breaking the law? Now, having said that, though, I would also like to ask the panel. It's very good that the panelists have come forward to speak, but most of them represent the online media who are not affected by the PPPA. Where are the people who are affected by the PPPA? Where are the mainstream editors, mainstream media editors, mainstream media journalists? Okay, Marcel, Lisa, explain to us. It's very hard for them to come forward to speak because they will get harassed by their bosses, by the owners of the media. Actually, I would like to point out also to Lance that it's actually not rare to see people like Stephen Gunn speaking in a forum about media, for instance. But it would really be rare indeed if the mainstream media journalists came and spoke at a forum like this.
Okay.
Why are they not here? Why is the NUJ not spearheading the fight for media freedom? That is most important. The chairman of the NUJ should be here, or he should at least send a representative. My question is, if you will bear with me, Datia, is how are we going to mobilize our colleagues from the mainstream media to take up this fight? Because if you don't have people, is Jun Wong here? Is Wong Chun Wai here? Is Abdul Aziz here? Is the editor-in-chief of the Berita Harian here? If you don't have the support, if you don't have the support of the NUJ, do you think the government is going to listen to you if you want to repeal the PPPA? So what are we going to do? What's the action plan? How do we win them over? Thank you very much.
Anyone else? The second question. Pauline? Pauline Wong. Go ahead. She's with the heat, by the way.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say that, but I'm here today as a young journalist, and I just want to say first, before I get my question, that Vinod's speech really hit a note with me, and I think a lot of my fellow young journalists will say, we go to a press conference, and if any of us has ever covered a Prime Minister's event, we wait for hours, hoping to the Lord that he would give us a press conference, you know? And if he doesn't, we've wasted 4 hours of our time traveling to Shah Alam when you really go back, you know? So we hang on like dogs at a table, you know, waiting for scraps for them to throw us press conferences so we can ask questions. And when we do, as soon as any of the reporters ask questions, his press secretary comes at short. So his speech hit a note with me because we don't get treated with respect. We don't get treated as if we are a profession, that we are a profession that is supposed to speak for the people and as the conscience of the people to keep checks and balances. On the other hand, we also have a rift, like Vinod already pointed out, within ourselves. There are not many of my colleagues, friends that I know, from the Star or NSC or anywhere like that. And one of the reasons why I left The Sun was also, not because The Sun is biased or anything, The Sun remains one of the few really fair ones, but it was because I couldn't take current politics anymore. You know, it's become to the point that we get no respect, and sad enough, we don't respect ourselves. You know, we have many reporters who sign petitions to disallow people who are not MPs from having press conferences in Parliament. Parliament is the place for the people, and we have reporters among ourselves who sign that petition when they shouldn't have. You know, we should have remained neutral. So my question is, the reason why the heat is the way it is because I have good editors. This is about all I will say about the last hour. But I've worked with many good editors who taught us to always look for the balance. if you're gonna say one thing, you're gonna have to say another. If you're gonna say A, say B about something, you're gonna say something about B, then you should give B the right to reply to A. So editors play an extremely key role to how reporters turn out. Good editors make good reporters. And reporters will then catalyze the change that we need. So my question is to all of those editors who are present here as well, and the panelists, how can you editors take a step and band together to teach reporters about good journalism? Thank you.
One more.
Hi, my name is Eric Paulson from Life for Liberty. It's not so much of a question, but just a general show of support. I just hope that all of you can, all the journalists, the media, can just band together because of a just cause. No country anywhere in the world can justify excessive spending like what has been happening in Malaysia. And that was the issue that got the heat into trouble. And I think Malaysia Kini also just published today about Rosma's son, who just bought a condominium in New York, costing 110 million Malaysian ringgit. So I would urge all of you to just band together on this issue. You have a legitimate cause. This is something that you cannot lose. You cannot lose the moral high ground. And this initiative must be journalist-driven. And if you were to get in trouble, and as you know, Malaysian laws are very vaguely drafted. There's sedition, there's PA, there's all kinds of laws that can be used against activists and journalists. If you do get in trouble, Lawyers for Liberty is right behind you. We will give you free legal advice. So no problem. If you have demonstration, just let us know in advance. We will come. If you get charged in court, we will defend you. If you want to sue them back, no problem. We will do it for you for free.
You can get arrested now. Okay, we'll answer those 3 questions first, then we'll get 2 questions actually. And all right. Okay, Key's action plan. I would like to ask, I will throw that to Mas to answer Key Tuan Chai, the possibility if there is an action plan. And I think Pauline's, maybe we could get Stephen to answer that.
I knew I would be landing myself in hot soup. Thanks to Key Tuan Chai. But okay, I think I'll be honest and say I actually don't have an answer. Because for someone who's been in from the mainstream media, from print, I was from a print background, and I've also gone to the dark side, to the NGO world, and having done work on media advocacy from the outside, one of the biggest challenges that CIJ faced, and myself as well, is how do I get, the very question that you ask, how do I get enough people from print media to actually be visible in the fight for media freedom? How do you do that? Until today, I still don't have that answer. We've tried, it's not just CIJ that has tried this, there are other groups as well who try to do trainings, etc. Say for example, Pusaraya. I think they also have tried running trainings on media, on not just laws, but also on how to take up cases, etc., how to write about issues that try to expand the scope of freedom of expression in Malaysia, the scope for media freedom in Malaysia. These are the very challenges, and not many journalists, especially from print media, attend these trainings. So it's a challenge that we are facing. I don't have the answer. If you look at Indonesia, for example, they've had a reformasi that managed to overthrow a government. That's exactly what happened in Indonesia. And with that kind of revolt happening in Indonesia, they actually managed to do away with all the laws that were bad for media. They had one law that, within that law, actually promoted media freedom, supported media freedom. And you see in Indonesia, it doesn't solve, as we can see, it did not solve the problem. But you can see that that is one way with which one country did it. You see Philippines, for example, media freedom, freedom of expression is actually defended in the constitution, and journalists are very powerful people, more powerful than Supreme Court judges in the Philippines, yet no country, not even the Philippines, has a model with which to address this issue of how to change the situation. So I think it's obvious that there are many things that need to happen. Enough journalists need to be outraged. We've had a certain number. Maybe the critical mass we haven't reached yet. Enough people need to be unhappy about the situation and want to change, and maybe do away with bad laws, PPPA, OSA, enact good laws, Freedom of Information Act, etc. I don't know what else. Many things need to happen before the changes that we want can happen. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer for that. But I feel that, given that I have the microphone, I need to address a couple of things. In some ways, it's related to what Vinod said. He said there must be unity. And if you just look at the panel here and our views, our opinions, etc., you can see that there are differences, yeah? Because, for example, I would argue that even if the government doesn't hold to ethics, even if the government doesn't respect media, responsible media must still practice ethics. Because you would lose your moral ground, you would lose your professional stand, you would lose the support of the people if you do not practice ethics. Whether we like it or not, media, it is one of the principles for them to give the right of reply. The right of reply is actually one of the principles in ethical journalism. Yeah? So whether we like it or not what Zahid Hamidi said, then the responsible thing is also to counter what Zahid Hamidi said, counter what Ibrahim Ali said, come up with stories that challenge the views that are put out by people like Zahid Hamidi, by Ibrahim Ali, all the nutters out there. Zulkifli Nordin is like, doesn't have any platform to speak anymore. So that is the role that media is supposed to play. Sekiranya media mahu rakyat tidak diperbodohkan, mesti memberikan ruang yang lebih, ada banyak perspektif untuk memastikan bahawa pencerahan berlaku, bahawa kita dapat lebih informasi. Itu apa yang kita perlukan. Kalau tidak, kita dapat one point of view, kita dapat inti-inti dan idea-idea yang bodoh, bukan idea yang bernas. We need new ideas, we need new perspectives to challenge the stupidity that we read in some of the media that we on a daily basis. It's like it's actually like it brings up your blood pressure, you know. Kalau you baca like, alamak, kena post kat Facebook, kena pantai ni WTF news for the day, you know. Just imagine that. So okay, we can talk about that outside. So that's what I wanted to say. That is something. That is the challenge that we need to take upon ourselves. And I feel that coming not just from a media perspective and media activist perspective, I also wanted to come with a gender perspective. I think words like Mando, Jantan, You're My Man, it's not useful for us to use in a context like this. Because what we have to say is that we want to challenge abuse of power. We want to make sure the government is accountable. We want to make sure there is no impunity. Yeah? So I would like to turn it around and say, these are the things that we should say, these are the platforms with which we use, and we may have different opinions, but we have a common ground, and that common ground is that we actually do not like the fact that the Home Minister uses the Printing Presses and Publications Act to his own pleasure, willy-nilly, guna secara sesuatu hati untuk, suspend the heat, and throughout the years we've seen so many changes. And I think Hatta, you know, you put us outside utusan alone, but actually other people were there to support you. There were people who were there to support you. So I think we need to also recognize that. Thank you.
Berkaitan dengan wartawan media cetak ni, saya rasa terlupakan lah. Sampai kucing bertanduk ke, anjing mengiau ke, kita maaf lah. Kita tak akan impor. Saya cakap dulu, mereka semua kawan saya. 16 years dalam keutusan, 16 years di utusan, and another 2 years dengan di Watan. Saya 16 tahun sebagai anggota Exco NUJ, berjuang 4 siri, memastikan kenaikan daripada 12% every 3 years, and they get backdated every 3 years around 10,000 to 20,000 for 3 years. Each of the reporters, they get increment around 75 ringgit to 150 ringgit. That's it. That's all. When you up from the utusan, then you no longer my friend. Itu reality. So, nak kena apa? Kita tidak ikut kita. Join kita untuk pakai dit lah, lupakan lah. I cakap terus terang di sini. Lupakan mereka. Dan mereka akan jilat kita kalau perjuangan kita berjaya. Kita dapat memastikan kalau media online dapat menjadi salah satu wacana utama di Malaysia sebagai penyalur maklumat. Dan apabila orang tidak lagi membaca utusan, tidak lagi membaca berita harian, dan ada syarikat-syarikat yang ingin memberi iklan di dalam surat khabar dan semuanya concentrate on media online, dan mereka akan mati. Ingat berapa lama kerajaan akan dapat support mereka? 50 years, ada 50 years? Janganlah. Sekarang di utusan sendiri, mereka nak merayu dapatkan dana untuk 1 juta, 2 juta iklan pun merayu. Jangan. Dia akan mereka mati sendiri. Dia mati pelan-pelan, terseksa. Dia akan orang macam kena AIDS kan. Mati ya. Mula kidney, lepas tu jantung lemah, kemudian mati. That's all. Itu yang berlaku kepada utusan Melayu. Tak ada siapa mau baca. Tak ada siapa yang nak iklankan. Okey, kementerian apa kebudayaan yang pump another 4 million every year for 3 years. 4 million. Lalas dia cakap, ayo tak boleh jalan juga. Tak apalah kita batal. Lalas close down, close shop, tak ada apa-apa. Ya, itu yang akan berlaku pada media cetak sekarang ni. Percayalah, dia akan berlaku. So, terlupakanlah media perdana ni. Jangan lupakanlah wartawan ni. Dan wartawan dia masuk ke media online, okey, kita sebut. No problem, that's all. Kaitan dengan itu, kalau kaitan dengan Mas Liza kata kita perlu ada etika perwartawanan gitu. Kalau saya cakap, kita memang hold etika perwartawanan, betul. Tak katakan, kita hold je. Tapi bekas, cubalah setahun-tahun. Nanti mereka hak dia jangan bagi right to reply. Saya fikir right to reply maksudnya bukanlah maksudnya kita tak ada beri dia hak. Kita beri dia hak cakap, tapi kita ambil yang macam bongok lah kan. That's why saya cakap, kalau kita saya rasa saya akan bertentangan dengan Mas Liza pasal kata ni. Kalau kita takut sangat nak gunakan mandul, kalau kita takut nak gunakan word-word yang kejam ni kan, so takkan kita, janganlah macam ni. Saya cakap sampai mati lah. Saya cakap sampai ganggu saya macam gini.
Okay.
Kita dalam geram, kita lah marah. Kita marah sekarang.
Okay, sorry. Right. Just to add on, what Mas Jaliza said, the fact that there is the ethics of journalism. We are all journalists. We need to uphold that and show them that when they are lowering themselves, we don't go as low as they are. Okay? And that is one thing we have to uphold. That is what we have above them. And to that, yes, Hatta has his own point of view. I'm sure some of you might agree with him. But I was a mainstream reporter. And all of us from online, Stephen, Anwar, we all come from the mainstream reporting. And we all practiced ethical reporting while in the papers. And I still think there are holes of hope among those reporters out there. So let's not forget them completely. We need them. We need your support. We need everybody's support for this. We need to free the media. We need everyone's support. Okay? And we want to announce that with us here, watching us live, we have over 8,000 viewers on TV at the moment. Okay. Now, on Pauline's question, where she said we journalists never get treated properly, like dogs waiting for scraps. Well, I waited for scraps with Mahathir many times, got booted out, got escorted out, got kicked out. And the fact that we have a rift among ourselves, within ourselves. So, and whether editors could play a key role in bringing us together. We'll let Stephen answer that.
I'm not too sure exactly how to answer that question really. I think, as an editor, the most important thing is to promote good journalism. I think I find it very difficult to encourage young journalists to go out there and ask the questions. Partly because I think, just like everybody else, there is always an awe for those with power. And of course, when you have to ask difficult questions to people like the IGP or the Prime Minister himself, or even Rosman, it's quite scary, really. I think, an editor will have to cite journalists up before they go to the assignments and tell them that, time and again, that it's your job to ask difficult questions. And I know that it's, it could be embarrassing, and you've got other journalists out there will be looking at you as if that you are a leper. But, I think as a good journalist, you have to ask questions, because nobody else is going to do that. We, as journalists, are being, tasked to hold the people in power to account. And I think that, is important, because the people, the Malaysians have voted them in power. And as journalists, we have to, play a role in making sure that they are accountable to the people that who voted them in. And that's our job. If we don't do that, we are not journalists. Simple as that. Between the experienced journalists who have been working for many years in the mainstream media, and young rookies, people who've never, students who have just graduated from the university who've never been a journalist, or some of them they have done, mass comm or whatever it is. Between those two, I'll prefer to hire the rookies. I'm not, with all due respect, I know that, it's good to have people with experience, especially journalists with experience, because of the context that they have and all that. But I find it very hard to train old dogs new tricks. Because I think, you know, if they've been there in the mainstream media for many, many years, there is, you know, an automatic sort of reaction to self-censor themselves. And I, you know, prefer to hire, you know, people who are bright eyes, who have the right attitude. You know, despite the fact that they may not be, you know, students of communication or students of journalism, as long as they have, you know, the passion to report the truth, passion, you know, how to put it, the courage to ask questions. And of course, you know, they have to know a little bit about how to write, otherwise it will be very difficult. So long as they have all that, you know, I would prefer to hire them because I think, you know, they will make better journalists if you train them properly. Thanks for the good question.
Okay, we'll take another three, the last three. One, the gentleman over there, then Siu Eng, and one more. Okay, let's take from, okay, yeah, the gentleman. Please go ahead.
Assalamualaikum, very good evening everyone. I'm Anwar. So I'm a young person. I just graduated and I don't have much to contribute. But through my experience, what I saw in the previous general election was that battle was won in the rural areas, and I would, you know, battle was lost in the rural areas, and I guess battle was won in the urban areas. You know, the 53%, most of the 53% came from urban areas. So I'd like to congratulate the online media for achieving that feat, I guess. Online media has been very